more. We're going to record.
Do I look a million miles away?
You do.
Okay, hang on.
Hello.
No.
Mama bear, Mama bear.
It's preparing the live stream preview.
Like waiting for your cappuccino.
Oh my God. It's begun.
The vegan fresh live stream.
Okay, I'm going to hit go live. Check that your stream is connected.
It's
Say something about this video. Play school, what else do you want to say?
I eat root vegetables.
Oh, darn it. I didn't wear black.
We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun.
Let's have some fun. Yeah, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
I said
yeah.
playing
Yeah.
your way into 2020 and all the choice points. Okay, I'm going to hit
That's why you get the big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on, guys.
Are we gonna see other people?
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Okay, here we are. We're live.
Yes, we're
All
all
right.
alive.
We're all alone. No, nobody's dead
All
yet.
Hey guys, this is Wanda Vitale, Theresa Luttenegger, Skandar Reid, and Cristine Schilling, and we absolutely have no idea what we're doing, which is really. Oh, and I'm watching this Facebook Live, right? There's a lapse, so that's always interesting. We have no idea what we're doing, and that's just perfect for what we wanted to talk about today, right? Moving into 2020 with all these choice points that we have, and how do you do it when you have no clue, right? So I don't think I have to do anything on this. Hang on, it just says that we're live. Okay.
Do you
I
want to
think
see if everyone can talk a bit and see if they show up, Wanda?
Well, it says that we have 10 people watching us right now. We have 4
What?
comments.
Hey guys.
Hi, everybody.
If you have questions,
So I like to clarify that when Wanda said that we have no idea what we're doing, we're actually just saying that we're being really spontaneous.
Yeah.
Right, Christine?
Exactly.
Lead us up.
so I will just tell everybody watching this. This is my first time that I've done a Facebook Live with the 4 of us. So that's why, this is completely spontaneous. Hopefully, my first time that I've done a Facebook Live with the 4 of us. So that's why, this is completely spontaneous. Hopefully, my time. Okay, so this is how this works. So I have to turn my volume off because there's a lag. So I'm just going to do it that way. So
Okay.
we decided, the 4 of us spent a week together in Sedona in a house. Actually, we spent a week together in a house that happens to be a vortex. There's a lag. I'm just going to, and Skandar came in and built basically a transmitter there, right? And we were
Portable portal.
Yeah, a portable portal.
The porta portal.
And we were, for a week, just totally in the moment and spontaneous. And the only reason we slept is because we absolutely had to. Because, right?
And most of us never met before, right? That's really important to say. We had never met in the physical before.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can hear all of you, and there's a lag for me, so this is pretty trippy, right? Just like reality. So we really wanted to talk about, how we see moving into 2020. 2020 represents a lot of different choice points for us, right? And what that means is we can either move farther into possibility and alignment with this really juicy life or not. Really, that's the only choice anymore. So how do you do that? That's where I always used to get hung up. How? Because our minds want to know how. And the four of us had the most amazing week by not even thinking about how. Right. Things just happened with our spontaneity. So who would like to talk? And I'll listen.
I love listening to you though, Wanda.
Four of us had the most amazing week by not even thinking about how.
Well, I'll start off that when the four of us came into the house, I was so pleasantly surprised that we all had different talents that synchronized and like gelled between these two couches that we talked and streamed for like 4 hours. So imagine people basically who don't know each other, except Wanda and Theresa have a good relationship. So the four of us did this like linkage, and then they made the mistake of going to bed and letting me have the living room so I can make the portal, which really did the whole neighborhood. And we stayed in this beautiful present where we just kept slicing away old belief systems to prepare for this 2020 where you want to have your hands unlocked and cupped. And that's a lot easier said than done. Present, where we just kept slicing away old belief systems. What do you think, Cristine?
Yeah, I totally agree. The receiving, and I know that we use different words, especially during those days. At first it was kind of about this trust. That can feel like trust at first. This, that trust that everything is taken care of. And when we feel that in our micro life, in our individual life, where we repeatedly are shown when we trust at first. Sorry, I can hear someone. And does someone still have their Facebook Live on in the background?
Well, I think I have to figure out how to
when we feel that in our micro
maneuver
life,
that. Hang on a second.
Individual life, where we repeatedly are shown when we trust at first. Sorry, I can hear someone. And does someone still have their Facebook Live on?
Hang on. Try that.
Okay. Okay, so I know one of the things that we spoke about was that repeatedly, even over the last few years, we've all had this experience where we maybe started to doubt, or we just weren't super solid in that, trusting that it's this flow that's happening as us. And then over and over again, just instantaneously, we were shown it's taken care of and it's working out and you can relax. And then this ease seeps in. And at least in my own life, I started to feel that as this ability to relax into the process. And that's something that we experienced viscerally, the four of us, in doing grid work together during that time in Sedona. We just kept looking at each other like, I have no idea. I have no idea. And then whoever would get, like, as Wanda says, that ping, that tiny bit of clarity that would come through, or just an idea. And we would all just say, yeah, let's do it. And allowed ourselves to be guided by those multidimensional aspects. And the overlap of our multidimensional aspects just became this massive, powerful field. And that's because we got out of the way and allowed it to, really. There's no really us to get out of the way in the first place, but you know what I'm trying to say.
No, that was really well put. That's it.
Yeah. I in retrospect, I feel like our time together was like times when I have done experimental art and I didn't know what I used to do a lot of collage and assemblage, and I would bring all these materials together, and my mind would be blank, and I would let the magnetics of my heart literally guide my hand to different pieces of paper or objects or whatever. And I gave myself permission after a while of feeling like I was going to fuck it up or I was going to make something ugly. I would say, oh, fuck it. What the hell? What if the worst thing is I make something I don't like? Okay, so what? So I would start, I felt like each of us were these pieces of different mediums, different pieces of paper or paint and brush or whatever. And the creator's hand would just move each of us into a certain position and see how does that fit? How does it fit? And it can be a little bit awkward at first, but then very easily, I think, because all of us were so attuned to our heart and felt each other so much, we started dancing with each other like these different pieces of a mosaic or a collage or whatever. And when you start fitting the pieces together, even if it's a little sloppy or the colors don't quite match right, it's almost just this pure delight in seeing how each thing comes together. And then eventually this whole piece of art emerges out of the experimentation. And when I look back on our time together, that's what it was like for me. And it was sheer delight of figuring out which colors and shapes and geometries and sounds and dance steps and fit together. So
yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I would say that because we were so allowing that creative process to happen through us, the mental aspect was just we were so present. There wasn't even that lag time of snapping back into thinking about it or trying to analyze it or trying to figure it out. It was just like the cupped hands that Skandar says. We all just became these little cupped, and we would all sit there and go and feel into it. And the flow that happened because of that, that ability to be played with, really, to be the toy that creator energy.
And there's a point that it wasn't all inclusive. As soon as we gelled, we included parts of our field. So we were able to connect to Cristine's daughters, and we could deal with a current issue with Theresa. And we were able to bring our own outside influence in and be really respectful and kind of pour it on and move to the next and not get stuck. And it was just the greatest gift, really.
There are just so many gifts that I think that we experience that I think most people are really looking for, and that is to be seen, right? To be seen. So the four of us who are used to being these, we're like the go-to people, right? For some people, we're the ones that are supposed to have all the answers. But we don't always have all the answers. So there's just such beauty in the willingness to be messy. And, I don't know that I'm uncomfortable with myself anymore, but just to be able to be seen in all what the world would call our imperfections. They're really not imperfections at all. And that transparency and the acceptance of that, of those, I don't know, I don't even like the word flaws because it's just our quirks. We are, to be seen and accepted for all the quirky ways that we have explored and are exploring our humanness. That is just so beautiful. We didn't come here to have these lives that go, upper range and lower range. The four of us here have had sink or swim lives. right? Like,
Yeah.
and we are so different in this in our unique transmission. So that was such a gift for me, just to you guys know I don't have all the answers. I mean, I just like check in and get an answer and think, okay, that must be it, right? That's how I operate, and that's how you operate. There's just really such freedom in that. And I think that's something that a lot of people want, because when we think we have to be a certain way, or we think that there's something wrong with us, gosh, it just makes our lives feel so serious. Why can't we just revel in our quirkiness?
And that quirkiness is kind of like the trees. We don't really judge a tree like, oh my gosh, you have a broken branch and you split out at your trunk, and oh my gosh, you just can't be the pine tree we always wanted you to be. Right?
Yeah.
And so we love the trees as they are, broken branches and dwarfed and twisted and whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That's really
And your peeps call us the crusters. I just love that word. Skandar works, I work with galactics. That's galactics. Skandar works with elementals and, and earth beings, middle earthers, right? And they call us crusters. I just love that. There's such hilarity in that to me. Like, oh, those crusters, they're just ridiculous. So why can't we just accept that we are ridiculous in our humanness, and that it's part of the plan, and it's supposed to be that way?
Yeah. And when we, in talking about play school, and something I posted about yesterday in watching kids, there's an effortless acceptance of each other just as they are, especially for my family, traveling so much. My kids are always in these situations where they don't know the other kids, and they effortlessly begin to play. And there's no overanalyzing that other person or trying to categorize them or where they are in their journey or any of these things. It's just, they snap right into this present moment of fun, and let's have fun. And I think we have a belief system that can't be the way it is anymore because I'm an adult, and that's false. It's just false, and it's extremely limiting. And that's, it's something I experience already in my life, especially with my husband, but in being with the three of you, it was the first time I really experienced it in a group like that, where we all just, I don't know, it was just family immediately. And we came together, and there was, there wasn't any of that, trying to figure each other out.
Well, one of the topics that we talked about off and on for several days for others to share was the art of grounding and the ecological therapy of bringing yourself back to the planet, to yourself, to come back to that original state of flow where you can forget about living in an apartment or whatever, and you're just grounded.
Yeah.
And to make it fun. To make it fun to get grounded again, whether it's hugging a tree or putting your hands through the sand at the beach or playing with mud or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And just, and I'm sorry, my cat's never in here, but she is now. So
she's part of the show.
She is.
Go figure. And just, for the people who follow me specifically that I work with, we're here. This is our last hurrah in a body. This is it, man. That's why life has felt so like it has for us. We're collapsing all those timelines. Again, I apologize for my cat. There she goes. Collapsing all those timelines, like poof, like integrating all that trauma, and we keep going because we're driven by it. And that in itself can feel so serious. Like, I've got to do this. I've got to get it done. or I've got to get it right, that thing. Not everybody, not everybody is on this path of, man, this is my last time, right? So other people are still playing around in their trauma and karmic stuff. That's okay. When we take this so seriously, that just makes it harder. So why can't we just, I just wrote a post on this, I think yesterday. If this is our last time in a body, and it is for many of us, and we're going on to other realms to guide others, or whatever we're going to do. I'm probably going to work on a ship somewhere. Why can't we look at, I am, Skandar.
I know, I believe you.
Yeah, I know you do. Why can't we look at every day as if it's our last day, to feel like, oh my God, and when you're pure light, you can't feel like silk on your fingertip. Yeah. You can't feel textures.
Yeah.
You can't experience what we experience in this slowed down reality, right? Yeah. So let's not do the double whammy of, this is my last time and I get it right, got to get it right. Let's do this is my last time, man, and I am going to go out, like the Facebook cartoon with a glass of wine in one hand and chocolate in the other one.
Last call. You better have fun in your human suit. Hurry up.
I think some of, like for me too, I'm going to go back to the topic of failure, because people forget to play when they feel like they have so much, play their way through their choices when they feel like they have too much or so much writing on the line with their choice. And just as a person who, from a conventional viewpoint, you could say I have failed more than anybody I know in the last 10 years of my failed, right? And what my birth mother used to say is, I'll just tell just a really brief story. She used to live in Key West with her partner, and they went through 2 or 3 hurricanes, I can't remember, and she lost everything she owned. And a family member was chiding her for it. She loved living in Key West. She was her heart's passion. And they asked her, why haven't you moved? And my mother said to her, well, have you ever lost everything? And the other person said no. And she said, well, it's liberating. You should try it sometime. And so for those of you that are scared to play because of what you might lose, I'd like to offer this. First of all, I feel like if I had played more, I probably would have lost less. But anyway, that sometimes losing all our pieces or all of our marbles or everything is actually the exact thing that gets us to the next aha, to the next joy, to the next freedom. And so if we start confronting some of those fears, like worst case scenario, okay, I can live with that. So let's play my way through this next choice point. And I have done that with myself a lot. When you're looking at like, well, am I going to lose my health insurance? Am I going to lose my home? Yada, yada. And the truth is that when we free that creative energy, the solution, and we stop worrying so much, the solutions start coming in. And you all probably know that, but I wanted to address that piece about people being so scared that they're going to get it wrong. And sometimes getting it wrong is the exact right thing. And I've discovered that in my art, in my writing, and in my personal life. And so I'm cheering each of you on actually to get it wrong and have fun with it. Yeah.
And just to really have fun with it, I'm sure as everybody listening already knows, everything is energy, everything is a frequency. So when you just stop and think, but like my mind before could really hunker down and figure things out, because I was really good, I thought, in a logical world of figuring things out, but just feel that in your body, your whole body tenses up. So when you just move into play and like, well, I wonder how this is all going to get resolved, because it always does get resolved. It's the, you know, feel that like, okay, I know there's an answer in here somewhere. I have no control. Bring it on. That openness, that wonder, that I know I'm going to be surprised because it looks like there is no hope here, right? Because we've all been, the four of us have been through those situations when there is no way that anything good can come out of a situation that we're in. But it does. When, you know, that's what surrender is. When you just say, all righty then, you know, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. Your body just relaxes, and that lets the solution come in. So, you know, instead of waiting until things get tense and it feels like there's a lot riding on it, get playful now. Yeah. Just get playful with it. Well, I wonder how my guides are going to fix this thing, because they always do, and they do. Nothing is impossible.
Please, Wanda, please share your bit. I mean, I hope it's okay that I share this, but one of the things that I took away from that time of all of us together was that you would just often say, "Do me," to your guides, which I mean, it's
yeah.
It's almost like a mantra now. I mean, anytime I feel any type of, usually what I find is I'll lean into it, right? I find myself like leaning forward, like I need to figure it out, right. or let's, like, what is that plan going to look like? And I just lean back and I really just open my whole field up and do me, because it's the mind. And I love what you said, Theresa, about, you know, like, get it wrong. Because it's our mind that thinks that there's a wrong.
Yeah,
right.
And in our week, Cristine pointed out that the failure out in the mountains, whether you're climbing or hiking or skiing, it's not really a failure. It's like this moment of choice. Like, so we're not to the summit, or we're not going to ski that hillside. But it's not really a failure. It's like, okay, it's a moment in taking a time out. And then kind of changing the turn, changing the curve. And maybe in hindsight, it's a really catastrophic, quote unquote, failure. But in fact, you look at it in hindsight, it was actually a forked trail of choice.
Yeah.
Which I think in 2020, that's going to be key, that we're going to come up to those moments where we have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
And we feel that in our body. If we start to grip and we feel that tension in our body and all this weight is on our shoulders all of a sudden, like, you know, I've got to figure this out. This is a me, and I'm alone, and if I don't figure it out, it's not going to happen. Whereas if we can soften, if we can relax, and if we can bring in a little bit of that play, and if we can just say, I have no idea. I don't know how it's going to unfold. So I might as well try and do something enjoyable in the process. Because when we say, no matter what's going on around me, I am going to enjoy, I'm going to find something that brings that feeling into my being, we're inviting that in, because like Wanda says, it's all about the magnetics then. So yeah, we're making that choice. This seems hopeless around us, or this seems like there's not a solution. And we've talked about this before, and I had a dream months ago with Wanda and Theresa in it, where Isabel, my daughter Isabel, had come in, and she was talking to Wanda, and she was, they were jiving, and she was saying that with every problem, because it's a totality, because there's polarities, every time there's a problem, there's a solution to that. So we don't have to think about it. You know, obviously things will come in and we can say, there's the solution, because we've opened ourselves to receive it. But we don't have to stress out that there's not a solution, because if there's a problem, there is a solution.
Automatically. I mean, you can't have one without the other.
Right.
Right. And that's really what choice points are, right? Mm-hmm. It's just two different polarities. So, some choice points, as you've all said, could seem weightier than others, but really it's really just clarity. Everything, our lives are so orchestrated. Cristine got me a Christmas ornament that said live life, I have it on our Christmas tree, live life as if it's rigged in your favor, and because it is. So we get all these choice points, like a problem situation will show up, interaction, Christy said interaction, an interaction shows up, something, and we go, what would be better? Right? That's really all we have to do, because that's what our minds are for. We hit this like a ball that hits a pin, and we have to go, is this good? Or what would be better? Well, there's always something better. There's always more love, more joy, more expansion, more, juicy stuff. That's my favorite word. There's always that, I know. And a juicy life. I've always wanted a juicy life, and I feel like I have that now because I keep choosing that. Whenever my mind says, whatever my mind says, it's usually some limit that I hit, like, my courses that I offer, like, nobody will sign up. And I go, well, what if they don't? I'm still going to choose a juicy life. So it just unlocks. Right? It's like we go through these choice points and we can choose expansion. We don't know what's going to happen. The mind doesn't know, because the mind is on a need to know basis for everything. I don't know anything, but there is a plan for all of us. And the only thing we can really do is keep choosing, like letting go of a limit, letting go of a belief, or just, like I say, do me. Because I'm a projection. The four of us here are figments of your imaginations. Really.
They're figments they're figments of our own imagination. We're figments of it. And when I started realizing I was channeling, I would say to my God, because I was so nervous about it, about getting it wrong, and like, oh my God, what if I bring through some bad information for someone? And am I just making this up? I would just, oh my God, what if I'm just making this up? And one day I heard my guide say, you're making everything up. What do you mean? Like, this is all made up. And the more you relax into it, the more you bring through the truth, or the action, or the frequency that is in your heart's alignment, and it's all made up, everything. And so there's so many points in which we actually kind of are able to actually revert to the best of our childhood, or our childlike tendencies of using our imagination, letting it all be real, letting the fairy realms be real, letting the neighborhood elf be real, letting the mouse in the corner of the kitchen start talking to us, letting Mary Magdalene come through my art is how I discovered but I didn't know it was her, and discovered I was channeling her. She came through the pieces, and we question ourselves, but the truth is that children know this inherently. So
definitely. And I think oftentimes we, even in saying do me, or even in saying, we're a projection, and these guides are not separate from us. The universe is not something that's separate from us, and we're at the mercy of what the universe is going to do. Like, universe, just show up for me, or something. Like, becomes this masterful, humble, because it can also turn into this really super dense personality going, I'm doing it. I'm doing this, I'm doing it all, whether it's grid work or I'm in charge and I've made it all happen. And that's not it at all. What we see is that we've got these multidimensional aspects, and for this moment, we're having this experience of, being this dense form. And at least when I'm saying, or I think when Wanda, when you guys are saying, do me to the guides, it's allowing those multidimensional aspects of our own being who have a more expanded viewpoint, right? To create through this being that then has the possibility of having senses and a mind and all of these things and these interactions. And just in terms of what you just said, Theresa, it's effortless for children to watch them to watch them do it, to watch them create effortlessly in their being and just move freely and without those inhibitions all the time. We have the capability of doing that. Although, along the way, we have to set down all this conditioning. We're now at this moment where the conditioning goes really quickly if we're ready to let it go, and the manifestations come in just as quickly. So yeah, that's that. That's all I got to say.
And that, yeah, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, when do you stop the pour? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have enough in your cup yet? Okay.
So this whole thing of do me, really, I mean, I was so stubborn, I was just so stubborn, and my mind was so insistent because I lived, I had made a career on being logical and being a strategist. And so I needed something that would just snap me out of it. And that do me is really saying, okay, my mind is out of the way. And it's really, as we do whatever everybody needs to do to get out of the way, to stop thinking or inserting some kind of control or limits, we really become walking, talking trance channels, right? I played with trance channeling many years ago and really couldn't give up my body, but I realize now, right, that's what we do. That's what we did in Sedona. We're just trance channels.
What is that for people who don't know what that is?
Yeah, trance channels are, where you give up your body, give up your vocal cords, and you invite these other aspects of you in, or it could be, one of my mentors is a phenomenal trance channel in Sedona, Summer Bacon, who has worked with Dr. James Martin Peebles, who passed in 1922. But, that's what trance channeling is. You give up everything. You give up your breathing. You give up your vocal cords. You basically go sit somewhere else. So when the mind is not insistent and not exerting any pressure on anything to be different, right? Or different. I think that's a good way to say it. Then when we say do me, that's just opening your body and your field up for our higher dimensional aspects. They're the ones with the plan. They're the ones that are saying, this is why you're in a body this time. They're the ones, and it's us, but that part of us is the one that orchestrates our reality. For instance, even that the four of us would come together. Right? Theresa did what are they? I'm horrible at astrology, as all of you know me.
She was doing multiple charts, like juggling like 3 or 4 bolts. And she's like, oh yeah. I was like,
Theresa was leading the blind for sure. I mean,
Theresa compared our charts. I believe it's called a synastry, correct, Theresa?
I did both synastry and composite charts for all of us in relationship. Yeah.
And this is, when you get your minds out of the way, when you say no to the things that no longer fit, whether it's relationships or situations or anything, things that don't resonate with you, when you no longer try to make yourself fit in anywhere, right? That's the other thing that we're all very clear about. Take us as we are, see ya. Then what's left is this field of authenticity.
Yeah.
And that my guides show me that we become walking, talking particle accelerators, big magnets. So that's how we even found each other. And then when Theresa compared our charts, oh my gosh, right?
It was perfectly balanced, perfectly. Yeah. I mean, like we just kept saying, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is that 2020 is really is the lead in to the real deal.
Yeah.
The real deal meaning unity consciousness. Right? Unity consciousness, my friend Marcia Wade, the quantum astrologer, says officially begins in earnest on the solstice of 2020. So when you get really clear in who you are, you become this sovereign point of, I know who I am, I know who I'm not. It lets you accept everybody where they are.
Absolutely.
Right? And then you start coming into contact and meeting, you know, like the four of us. It's just, it was just incredible. And that's what unity consciousness is, so that more of us can come together, can collaborate.
Yeah.
So you cannot make this stuff up. And Theresa, I want you to talk a little bit about imagination, because Theresa and I have talked about this over the years. We've seen our friends just fall away because, again, no judgment, but some people it's not their last time in a body, and they're still playing around with, you know, stuff in their karmic backpack, and they're still playing around with fear. The four of us here no longer experience fear. And Theresa and I have said for a while, gosh, where is everybody? Are we the only two? Wouldn't it be nice to have people to play with?
I would much rather hear Skandar talk about imagination, because oh my gosh, I feel like I am his student of imagination and magic. And when I met him for the first time, just this fall, I was like, oh my God, Wanda, you have to meet this man. He's a living wizard. Because Skandar's my imagination role model. Because can I put you on the spot, Skandar?
Well, before we start that, I just wanted to paraphrase what Wanda was saying as far as do me, that when I started to channel the flow of imagination, it's pretty easy. It's like you're not being taken over, but you're not in the driver's seat. You're now in the passenger seat. Yeah. So you still are in your body, your car, but somebody else is doing amazing artwork that I am definitely not probably capable of, but because I'm in the passenger seat, I'm being a good witness and I get to sign it. So I have this belief and this fear that I would never ever be able to carve or create something small because everything has to be big. And when I started doing advanced grid work, I started working smaller to the point where I got down to penance. And one of my guides was very, very key about unity and being service is make sure this artwork is not a transaction. Make sure that it's a transformation. So to make sure it's a transformation, you're going to gift it. Now, you might make some other pennants that you sell and do your thing. But what's really important, especially in this group, was the amount of gifting that not only was given, but was received. Because quite often people feel like there's strings attached and this and that, and they don't necessarily want to receive your artwork or your input. And part of unity consciousness is that even if I accept your gift, your artwork, I may in fact gift it the next week or the next day. But it's this keeping with what Wanda was bringing on, where the guides are doing, is opening that faucet and letting that flow go. And luckily, the four of us are in this big canoe, and we have a pact not to capsize it. And if we do, we have to like help, turn it over.
Oh shit, I think it might be fun to roll the canoe.
roll team.
So just as like to give people a little taste of reality, we didn't have time, or we chose not to turn on the TV or the hot tub or the couple fake fire propanes that were around. We just didn't do it. we had such a good time sharing our space that we were like, I'll take another bowl of us. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm thinking we're all 4 introverts too, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So for 4 introverts to come together and not be able to tear themselves apart from a conversation is like a freaking miracle. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I would say I just felt fed more than anything. In no way did I feel drained. It was just that reinforcing of this loop, this energetic loop. When you're in the flow, there is no, it's not that our physicals don't get tired. Obviously there were moments where it was like, we were all horizontal on the couches. But at that same time, it was this vibrancy because there was no resistance.
That's it. Yeah.
And back to, and again, I just, want to tie this into everybody else's life. Everybody's life is listening now. We've asked for this, right? That was my thing that Theresa and I have said, where are they? Surely, surely there's somebody else that gets this stuff. And you've said that, right? We know now there's more than 6 people, Cristine. Cristine thought there were maybe 5, but so, we've asked for this, and I've said, Skandar, that I need to play more. My husband's pretty playful. He has no idea what I do, right? And he's playful. But you are off the charts playful. You are the part of us that everybody buried, right?
And check it out. To have the playfulness to be an adult and do all those chores and everything and be so efficient that it's done in 43 minutes. Oh my gosh. Imagine if your kids, Cristine, were like, oh really? Everything's done? We can play all day from like 9 o'clock? They're like, yeah, because as kids, 9 to 3 o'clock is a lot longer than for us adults who tend to chop it into chores and errands and assignments and all this. That to make this chair this past week was so playful and so grounding and so dirty. Oh my God. I was pigpen big time. It was just like dust was encrusted. I was like, wow, I have a helmet. Oh no, that's my hair. Yeah.
Because for people who don't know, watching Skandar works with stone, crystals, sculpture, so when he says that he's dusty, he's making this incredible throne. But was it a throne at the beginning, Skandar?
I think it's for high school students. And so it's made for like this really big person, like a fantasy person. Mm-hmm. And so as a freshman, you would be like, oh my God, you can't even fit in it. And by the time you're a senior, you're like, yeah, I want to take this home.
So, that's a really, this is where Skandar, this is where people get hung up. I work with entrepreneurs. My program is called the Quantum Entrepreneur. And so most humans, most people, and especially if we have a business, we do just what you said. Like, okay, I have a list, I got to get it done. I mean, just saying that, I can feel my body shut down.
Yeah.
Saying that. So with these choice points of, that are going to happen in 2020, what if we could just look at them and what can I do now? How can I do what needs to be done in a way that feels playful?
Yes.
So can we use that as a topic for our next live gathering? Because I think
Are you trying to hang up on us?
No, we've been on for almost an hour. We've been on for almost an hour, but I think this is. I
gotta go to the bathroom. No.
Wait, I just want to say one thing that I think is really important. And for those choice points, one thing that we talked about a lot was yes, yes, no, no. Like just this instant, very authentic, very firm, clear, no. no, that's not it. That's not working. That's not what I want to be aligned with anymore. That's not fundamentally, juicy for me, whatever it is. It's no, and yes. And that yes, that feels good in my body. Yes, that feels like freedom, whatever it is. It's visceral. I mean, you feel it. You're feeling it in your heart. You're feeling the tingle in your body. You feel lighter when you think about that thing, whatever it is. And so really strongly, those choice points are about saying no, yes to what we want to align with in our life.
And those choice points may not be like this job or that job. That choice point may be, here I am up close and personal with my fear.
Absolutely.
Right? It could be fear, because fear is just an old pattern.
Yeah,
it's just an old pattern. You can't experience fear and really have integrated that you are everything in existence, partially embodied and creating for the joy of it. Fear goes away, right, when we confront it and go, wait a minute, this is just a program and I'm not going to believe my mind. And I know I don't want this, so what would be better?
Yeah,
right?
So there's the no. It's just our response. No, I don't want to respond that way anymore. I just don't have to respond that way anymore. We think, I was talking with Sophia, my other daughter, yesterday, we think that because we have been that way and because we have responded that way, no, that's who we are and that's how we respond. But it's that easy to change and just say, no, I'm not going to respond that way this time. I'm going to respond this way. And that's magnetics. That's how we pull a different experience to our reality.
Yeah. And this is just a tiny little example, but I want to say one of my latest things has been, does this feel good as cuddling a dog? Like, if I have a choice to make, what out of my choices, what feels the yummiest? Like, cuddling dogs is a huge yummy experience for me. What is that? Because sometimes people have a hard time cutting through their mental beliefs to get to the body, the truth of the body and the heart. And so you might just pull up your most visceral, yummy experience and say, out of my choices, which one feels closest to cuddling the dog, or whatever that yummy experience is for you in each choice. So just a little.
Absolutely.
Little thing there.
Yeah. So I think that's good. We've been on about an hour, and this was and we'll do it again. And we'd love to hear from anybody who listened today.
Did anyone have a chance to check questions? I didn't. I'm on my phone, and so I can't. Yeah.
Some comments. Christy, we're immersed in experience. I don't know. David Hall says Doomy is asking for permission from source to be source. Christy, nice. We're ready to play. I don't know. I'm on questions now. Do you guys have questions? Like, how do you do this, or how do you do that?
Also on the replays, when we post it, the recordings, people are more than welcome to comment with a question, and we can answer.
Yeah. Good.
We know that we don't have the answers, because there really aren't any answers, but like, I know that everything is frequency. And when I got in the really tight spot in my life, when I had no money and couldn't walk, and I just knew, man, it was, if anything was going to change, I had to change me. And I had to change the story. I had to stop believing my mind. So we don't have the answers, but we know how to move with frequency, right? We know, like the four of us know when we hit the limitation, when our mind says, well, that's not possible, right? Like, I listen to my thoughts. You all do, and go, oh, that's an old pattern. Thank you. Right? I think this is so, I don't know. I think this is just a really good time for everybody to look at what's coming up with these waves of energy that are hitting us. It's a really good time to use reality for the way it was intended. It's a mirror for us. When we move out of duality, there is no mirror, right? So Now we get to look at something that we think should be different and not judge it and not go down that rabbit hole of judgment and anger or fear. We just look at it and go, oh, that's showing me what would somebody have to believe in order to experience this. I think this is a really good time to just pay attention to the mirror, because it'll show you, it'll just show you what you're wanting, what your heart's wanting. It could be more people to play with, like, the four of us coming together. Could be showing you where you've put an artificial limit in your life. I mean, really, it might show you where you're enabling somebody. Because, we're not here to struggle. Nobody learns to walk unless we let them fall a few times. So this is just a really good time to look at all that stuff that's going on in your life, to say, what does this really mean? Given that everything is rigged in our favor and it's always perfect. Look at the gift for everything.
Absolutely.
Anything you guys are inspired to add?
I think we covered some ground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the questions. If there's anything you'd like to hear our take on, we'd love to respond. We'll do another live. But life is supposed to feel good. And if it doesn't feel good, it's time for you to make some adjustments, because life changes.
Yeah.
And it's just really the discipline, I think, to flood our bodies and our field with these new ways of being until we keep doing it, and then our reactive behaviors changed.
Absolutely.
Skandar really didn't get into the imagination, but so Theresa, do you or Skandar want to end with that? Because I think it's the most powerful thing that we could do right now. Imagination.
I have about a 1 minute experience to end, and this will get the four of us and everybody on the other side of the lens to have a little flow, because we've been discussing and it's like really pretty full. So let's do a little movement of imagination. So, and then we'll let Wanda close this out, and we'll pop. So what we're going to do is I'm going to guide us to just kind of go to points that I say, and not get hung up that if I say like your right thumb, that it's like which thumb, that thumb, just let whatever comes up. And so we're going to start with some body points, and then we're going to keep flowing to some imagination to give you an idea to what imagination in its essence is, just pure flow. So with your eyes softened or with your eyes closed, I want you to follow my lead, and don't worry about being left behind. Just pick up on the next spot. So the first place we're going to have a moment of attention is your right knee. And now we're going to move to your left big toe, and now to your right shoulder. And between your eyes, I want you to find a focus. And now you can see how we're getting a little flow, that we can move to the right shoulder, to your left hip, and to your chest, all the way to your right thumb. And so now I want you to think of nothing, but see what comes to your imagination, in your thoughts, in your vision, when you hear the following sound. And now we're going to move on to another sound, and tell me in your own way what it feels like. So now take a breath through the top of your head and exhale all the way through your body and realize that you have just let go for 60 seconds. And you just let the sounds and parts of your body be that flow train. And that's it.
Thank you, Skandar. The flow.
Oh, yummy.
You just transported me to the Sahara during a sandstorm. I could feel it, feel the sand hitting my skin.
Maybe we could do some more of that in future.
I'd love that. Good stuff.
Just, you know, some play that's practical. That doesn't mean you have to make a big production, but that just a little play really loosens up that maturity plaque of all that grown-up stuff. We just need to kind of push it out a little bit.
All right.
That's spiritual flossing, folks.
All right, you guys. For everybody listening, thank you. For everybody who listens after our call, listens to the recording, thank you. We'd love to hear from you. Really, life, it can be easy. This is the whole reason that we're doing this, is that when you're in this flow, life gets exponentially easier. It just does. It gets a whole lot more funner, right? A whole lot more funner.
A whole lot more.
And that's what we want for everybody. Not so much seriousness and not so much thinking. But yeah.
Yeah. Eat your root vegetables.
Eat your root.
and break all the rules.
And
Right?
break all the rules. Break all the rules.
Please break all the rules. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Bye,
right.
you guys.
Bye.
Now we all